Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Alright, so grab your sketchbooks, especially if you have not touched your sketchbook for a very long time, or if you're visiting my channel for the first time, you have no idea why you're here, but you think you'd want to doodle for a little bit. So I'm taking in all skill levels. I'm going to teach you some really cool thumbnail tactics so that you can not only fill up a sketchbook, but also enjoy what you're drawing, so you don't have to worry about being perfect. Now I'm using a standard Bic ballpoint pen, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to doodle on some shapes here. Those of you that know me and know my channel, you are well aware that I'm going to be sketching some random shapes, and I'm going to be forming these shapes into either creatures, props, maybe some character helmets. Really, I'm just going to let the lines take me wherever they want to. Alright, so if you're sketching along with me right now, keep everything nice and loose, and the pen strokes or the pencil strokes, depending on what you're using, be sure to keep a light hand. Alright, now I'm not dragging my palm across the page at all. What I'm doing is I'm lightly gripping the pencil. I'm lightly gripping the pen. It's not a pencil. And I'm just slowly but surely putting down some shapes until I find something that I like. Now, I have gone Lovecraftian on this, and I'm actually kind of liking this one. I didn't know if I was going to like this at first because I had this helmet shape, and I was thinking, okay, well, I'm probably going to be making like a turtle or some kind of creature shell, and it did turn into a shell. But then I found out, well, if I add in some tentacles, it's going to help ground it. Because I wanted to be able to, draw the creature, but have it touch the ground, and I did not want to use insect legs. Instead, these legs look like slugs. So we'll see how this goes. Okay, now, whenever I sketch thumbnails, I have a small idea in mind of what I want the critter to be. If I'm doing creatures, if I'm doing helmets, if I'm doing weapons or characters or whatever, obviously I'll be thinking of that subject. But for this one, I knew that I wanted this to be an eyeless critter, and it kind of moseys around, not really sure about where its food source is going to be. But all of these tentacles, these feet, I guess you can call them, they're going to be touching the ground, and they're probably extra sensitive, and they're probably finding food sources as it walks along. This thing's probably no bigger than like a starfish or something. I don't know. This thing might even be underwater. As a matter of fact, why don't we draw some bubbles here? That would be kind of neat. I actually don't think I've done many aquatic creatures at all on my channel. Huh. Well, comment below if you would like to see me do some aquatic critters. I'm probably going to get a lot of yeses. Please do aquatic critters. Especially after playing games like Subnautica and all those really awesome games. Seeing Avatar, the movies and everything. I don't think that aquatic monsters really get enough love, even in cinema. It's mostly land-dwelling beasts with giant horns and things that look like dinosaurs. Rightfully so, because that's our frame of reference. That's what we have to go off of. Another technique that I want you guys to try is I want you to take the pen and I want you to lightly brush across the creature's body, whatever creature you're drawing. I don't want straight lines. Instead, zigzag them, or do a bunch of figure eights. So what I mean by figure eights is if you practice over here to the side, you can slowly but surely add in a lot of figure eight shapes and then go back on each other, or watch them go back on each other. And what that does is it forms so many different types of textures very quickly. You have scales, you can have tree bark, you can have incredibly wrinkly skin, or whatever you want. Alright, and then just go across the body to form a nice little texture, and then you can bump that texture out by finding small little areas that you think parts of the shell or parts of the skin are going to come out at us. And those are going to be the darker parts. Now, the next thing that I want you to do is, see this little ground plane that we drew, our critter? This creature needs to be grounded in a literal sense, because if it's touching the ground, we want it to feel connected. So I like to darken the areas where appendages or some kind of other body part or the subject matter is touching the ground, and then put lines on the creature and then the body fading off. So what I mean by fading off is thick to thin lines or short controlled bursts where you press harder and then release the pressure. You get better with this over time. Now I can't sit here and say, here, just do this, because that's, one, it's not helpful, and it's also annoying. I'm telling you, if you get your sketchbooks out just like this and you practice on the side, thick to thin, 500 lines every single morning for 30 straight days, that's going to help you be better. That I can guarantee you. Probably weren't expecting that number to enter this conversation, but I have to keep people on their toes. Okay, so now, you know, this thing has actually turned out to be pretty neat. It's like a conch shell mixed with crustacean. Looks kind of ancient, but yet alien. The other thing, it's a really cool trick, so I'm going to finish putting in the little dark parts. Oh, also, I'm so sorry. I forgot to tell you. This thumbnail's small. And because it's small, and we're using a pen, so the shading is not quite the same as it is with a pencil. So we're going to have to control our shading just a little bit. So what I like doing is I like to do wispy marks over top of each other, very close to each other. And what that does is it offers a nice fade away from all the pen. There we go. We have to show some depth in here. So all of the limbs that are closest to us get a darker treatment, and all of the ones in the background that belong to the creature but are on the other side of the body, those are lighter. And then when you couple all those together, or bring all those together, maybe add in some plants like this, you can have some pretty neat depth. Now, if you want good contrast, you have to figure out what areas of your creatures or whatever you're drawing has the least amount of light penetrating the area. Alright, so for example, inside the little leg holes, light really isn't getting in there. Now, just like fine arts, if you're painting, avoid black. Just like drawing, avoid black. There's still value even in all where there's light and even in shadows. So just be very careful about what you choose to have pure black, because it can backfire pretty quickly. Let's move on to our second critter. I'm kind of liking this whole Lovecraftian theme we got going on here, so I might do a couple more that are in that theme. And they're also quite aquatic. I'm kind of experimenting and keeping my prompt, well, I don't even know what I'm talking about. Okay, so we got a very strange shape going on here. It could be a shell, but one thing is for certain, it looks like this is another aquatic critter. So with that said, let's have a big opening in the front, and then several tentacles coming out, maybe 3. 3 is always a good number to have, especially in sci-fi. I don't know what it is about the number 3, but it's a psychologically pleasing number, and at the same time, there's something unnatural about it if we see groupings of 3 on creatures or even animals of Earth. Okay, so this is a very weird experiment for a creature, because most of them are going to have legs. But this particular one does not have legs. Instead, it has a bunch of tentacles going in different directions. and I'm going to have to piece together these body shapes differently than I did over there. I was a little bit more confident in this design just because it's more confined and compact. It's like a crab, it's like a turtle, and the legs are very simple. This one, it's more, it's floating. It might be swimming. I'm not sure yet. And I'm kind of just making this up as I go, but trying my best to think about aquatic life that I have studied. So I'm trying to pull my, some reference images from my head, and I'm not really sure which ones I want to pull from, just from images that I've seen over the years and different animals that I've studied. And I'm probably butchering some of the ideas that I have in my mind while putting it on paper. We're doing a creature that doesn't live on Earth, so I kind of have a little bit more creative freedom. All right, so if you're drawing along with me, comment below, let me know what you're working on. If you're doing something really crazy. I love getting the messages and hearing from people that have drawn for the first time in years. It's so cool to know that people are having their passions reignited in drawing and in art. And I just want, that's the whole reason I'm doing this. I'm doing this so that you guys become more confident in your sketching choices. All right, nobody's here to judge you. All right, if somebody says that you are not good and they're doing it with not your best intentions at heart, then forget them. Okay, they're just mad at themselves because they haven't accomplished what they wanted to do. And let's face it, drawing is not easy. If you want to master drawing, you have to become obsessed with drawing. You can't just lollygag around in anything and expect to be good at it. I just kind of did a happy accident there. I was kind of bored myself with the things hanging off of the head or the shell or whatever you want to call it. But I'm glad I added those little sections in because it's putting a nice texture in there, and it's also breaking up that surface. So that's good. If you're drawing a creature and it has a big area where not a lot of stuff is happening, put some spikes in there, put something interesting in there, like some tentacles or maybe an extra limb, something cool. And also think about the functionality of your creature. This is something I teach in my Creature Design for Film and Games course. Okay, if you're interested in signing up for that, I've been teaching that course for 8 years now at the Computer Graphics Master Academy. So check the link in the description below and the pinned comment. I'm currently wrapping up winter term, and then spring term is right around the corner. Early signups have already happened. We do cap the classroom at 20. Okay, so those could fill up pretty quickly, and I do want to mention that they fill up faster in the springtime. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the weather. Maybe more people want to learn more in the winter time. I don't know. There we go. Okay, now I'm happy with it. I was not happy with that drawing. As a matter of fact, I almost gave up on it, but my inner voice said, Bobby, you literally have to practice what you preach, man. Telling everybody happy accidents and then accept your failures, and here I am thinking I failed at that drawing and I want to skip it, and I'm like, no, I cannot skip it on this video. That would make me a hypocrite, and I don't want to do that. So, and boy, would I get called out in the comments. All right, all these little messy doodles going somewhere. Oh, and there definitely needs to be more tentacles. As a matter of fact, why don't we put some that are almost touching the ground? Maybe they are touching the ground, but way in the background. So maybe this creature is actually way bigger than we thought. If that's the case, not cased. If that's the case, then these front tentacles have to be darker so that the values are different. There we go. It's all about contrasting values. If you guys want a quick 101 value lesson here, remember this. Anytime you're shading a drawing, whether it's pen, whether it's pencil. Please make sure that any of the values that you're putting in your image has contrasting values right next to it. All right? So, for example, I just put shading on that weird outcropping of shell, but I left this white. There's contrast. So now I know that this is growing in the shadow and or behind this part. And I'm leaving that. That's contrast. We know that this is deep set because the arms are coming out of a shell. How? Because it's so dark in there that there's no light. That's what I'm talking about. That is contrast. And I could keep going with this too, but I think what I'll do is I'll fade on some ground, and then, oh, let's put in little people. You know, that could be Roger. And then this one, that guy's small. So I mean, I could put a human foot in there, but I don't want to make it too complicated. You know, and then we can start on the third one. Will I finish the third one? I don't know. But one thing that I do like is that if I start an image, and maybe those of you watching have started the exact same image or something that's like it, I like you to finish the creature. So what would it look like for you? There, it looks like it is a fish. So let's put some really weird fins on here. Yeah, there we go. I am a firm believer in extraterrestrial life. I think it is out there. Are there intelligent beings out there? I do think so. But I also think that there are strange things swimming around, you know, and on different planets. Maybe they're filled with different liquids, and I mean, we already know that they are, like, filled with different liquids. We got methane lakes, got I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't know where I was going with that, but the term alien just slipped in my mind, and I like talking about space because I'm a space geek. I read up about James Webb Telescope all the time. I love the discoveries. It's seeing farther into space than we ever thought possible, and it's really, 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 really close to proving the Big Bang as true. So there's a lot of stuff happening, and you know, with NASA and with new rockets being made, new probes, like that new probe that flew within like 1 million miles of the sun. It's crazy, absolutely crazy what we can do. So if you found today's lesson helpful, you know, it's more of just a draw session. It's the name of my channel, guys. Come on. This is the essence of what I like doing. All right, here's my other page. It's just doodling like this. I want to wake you guys up from your drawing slumber. Okay, if you are not feeling confident about your drawings, stop that. Slap yourself. Just be like, no, I'm going to create something today and I'm going to love it. If I hate it, it's okay. Let's move on to the next one. Check the pinned comment below for important links, especially to our creature design workshop Discord. And it's not just creature design. If you're interested in my mentorship, please email me at bobbyrebholz@gmail.com. There you go. Hopefully you found today helpful. Till next time, everybody. Peace.